Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this call. And Brian, thank you for joining us on this call. I know that you are a busy man, so we're really excited to be able to grab a little bit of your time and chat about each of our respective companies, some of the things we've been doing together, as well as touch on some of the current kind of chaos situation in the middle of COVID-19 and what we're each seeing inside of our ecosystem here.
Perfect. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, very welcome. Well, I guess to kick things off, the majority of anyone watching this is going to know you and recognize you from being out on the road. Again, I don't want to introduce your full name and your company. I'm going to let you do that. So why don't you let us know who you are, what company you're with, and also where people can find you online as they're watching.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So my name is Brian Laufer. I'm the Vice President here at QuoteWerks. I've been with the company now for almost 20 years as of September,
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah. So, but basically, you know, my role at QuoteWerks is varied because I have been with the company for as long as I have.
Yeah.
But primarily my role is in actual software development and business development at the same time. So, you know, when I go out on the road and I talk to people and I say, so what are the problems you're having? What are the pain points you're having? I can actually go back to the office and solve those pain points.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kind of unique.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually, you know, where our relationship came in. I wasn't the one that actually developed the solution, but when it came to the integration with BNG and ConnectBooster, it was because of sitting down with you and Brady, and that's where this came from.
Yeah, it's been a good, I mean, we've known each other for, gosh, several years now, from back Char Tech days, trade shows, being on the road, Super Friends promotions, vendor all of that stuff. Yeah, it's been fun and a good relationship.
Yeah, definitely over a decade even.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Time flies. How come you look younger than me?
I have no idea. It must be the beer.
It's either beer or Orlando. Orlando's a nice spot to be, right?
Well, actually, it's really funny because like right now everybody's stuck at home, and you know my wife is complaining. I'm like, what are you complaining about? You've got sun, you've got a pool, you got a great neighborhood to walk around in. I don't understand the problem.
So what's the date? It's 4/21. I had snowflakes this morning. We're missing it. It was actually getting a little bit white. So
wow.
Let me know when you're ready to trade. I'll probably take you up on a swap for a couple of weeks if you're open to it.
I don't know. Do you want 90 degrees?
I might melt. I've got a newly formed bald spot that I haven't figured out how not to get it sunburned yet. I always forget it up there.
Wear a hat.
Yeah. Good point.
Anyways.
I'll shift gears a little bit here. So, you know, at ConnectBooster, we've seen a lot of demand for electronic payments, just in terms of people not being in the office or issues with mailing payment to an office and maybe people aren't there. A lot of unique scenarios, and I think people are really realizing the importance of having electronic payments available to them to make sure that their cash flow, especially in this time, but also they're seeing the value in normal business operations around creating efficiencies, security in electronic payments. And we have a really cool integration that we've worked on together where there's not only the ability to use our services to initiate a payment on a quote via credit card inside of QuoteWerks, but also something that's new within the last 18 months, which our mutual partners have asked for, was ACH as a payment method to use inside of Quote Valet because of the reduced costs. Now, have you guys seen any type of a shift in this current environment in that Quote Valet portion of QuoteWerks, just considering the current circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing more people adapting Quote Valet in general because it allows them to deliver that interactive quote and get that acceptance without having to go on site and get that signature. And then obviously collecting payment. So yeah, we definitely are seeing an uptick there. And then also with our QuoteWerks web product as well. So
Awesome.
QuoteWerks, for most people, they think of us as a desktop product, but we're not. We're much more than that now. So we've seen a lot of adoption, especially in the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 weeks, going to QuoteWerks Web, which is what I'm going to show you guys here in just a little bit.
Well, and that was a release. When did you guys release that? Because that's fairly recent for you guys, and I know it was a big initiative inside of your organization as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on it for about 6 years. We officially released it about 2 years ago. Actually, it might have been 3 years ago now at our first annual user conference.
Yes.
And actually, this last conference, which was just before COVID-19 hit the U.S., we really announced a lot of new functionality that we have within QuoteWerks Web, and it was great to announce that in front of hundreds of people. And I just wish we could have gone to more events showing it off.
Well, what are some of the big call outs here? You know, even though we can't be on the road, I mean, we are certainly interested in getting as many eyeballs from our user base in and get this in front of them. You know, what are the big things that we should be making sure we're highlighting for our audience?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is, with both Quote Valet, QuoteWerks Web, and the ability to take payment, basically your sales reps, they can be anywhere on pretty much any device and create a quote, modify a quote, deliver that quote to a customer, and then get payment. Awesome. I mean, basically from any device, whether it be a laptop, an iPad, a Surface, it's awesome. So, I'm looking forward to showing, exactly, basically we have the same integrations, when it comes to integrating with the CRM and PSAs, as well as with your distributors and vendors and all of that as well. So all of that is within QuoteWerks Web now.
A little bit, a question that might guide us a little bit off track, but I think it's worth mentioning. We both serve a lot of IT service providers, MSPs, managed, security service providers. Are you guys seeing adoption in some of those parallel service business verticals as well with that product?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard right now. We're seeing some businesses do really well, in the COVID-19 era, I guess that's what we're going to call it. Where, companies are actually spending the time, maybe when they're not selling as much, but they're coming back and improving their processes, improving the integrations that they already have, and then investing in technology. So, we're seeing that. And then we're also seeing those other ones that are just sitting back and doing nothing. And it's like, come on, guys, this is the time. Anytime you have just a little bit of slowdown, take advantage of it. Absolutely. It's so sad when I talk to these companies, on the road, they're like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. This is your time. Unless you actually do have customers and you are doing actual work. But I know a lot of these guys, they're not doing it.
Right. Yeah, and I think you're touching on a. I mean, I've had a philosophy, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs do. There's not a lot of standing still. You're either growing or dying. I always equate it to standing on a sandhill. It's going to be a lot of work going up, but when you rest, you actually slide backwards. Just because you're not moving doesn't mean the whole situation isn't moving, and so you either need to be growing or you're reverting. And I think you really kind of nailed that point.
Exactly.
Good call to action as well. Now, in your product, even well before conversations, that we had, you guys had the ability to, connect to a credit card processor,
right,
and accept payment, and the ACH functionality, and you also can initiate wire transfer. Am I correct on that, or am I misstating?
We don't do the wire transfer side. I mean, we can do ACH or e-check, but as far as a true wire transfer, we're not technically doing that. Gotcha.
Now, the expansion of those payment methods, obviously credit card has served the product for a long time. What was one of the big drivers to, look beyond that and make an investment, because it is an investment to add additional functionality to the software, especially when it comes to security of payments. It's a little more complex than just rolling out a product feature, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem that, a lot of MSPs had, especially when it came to selling, besides just selling services, but the hardware side, was that, they're giving up 2, 3, 4% to the credit card companies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their margin, So that was really the driver. So that's why we took the time to invest in it. And that's why the credit card, as far as credit card integration, yours was the first one that we adopted, because we knew that they needed it first.
Yeah.
So that's why we did it.
And you guys have a unique feature. I know that I'm not sure if we're able to highlight this when we dive into some of your product UI, but you've also done the cash discount or the ability to recoup a fee associated with credit card too, which helps, at least for the business owner, make that a little more palatable. Am I correct?
Yeah, we have. I'm not going to really highlight that today, but we definitely have the ability to do that, whether it be a certain percentage or a dollar value, depending on your jurisdiction. You have to be careful about that.
Right. Yeah.
Here in Florida, we're not allowed to do a percentage, but we can do a flat fee on all transactions. So it just depends. I definitely recommend speak to an accountant, make sure that you know your rules and your laws in your jurisdiction before you do that, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. We always do a big disclaimer because we do some of that functionality within our software as well, and it's important to make sure you're consulting your local expert on those finance pieces to make sure you're within compliance and not breaking any rules and getting into trouble.
Exactly.
So we're having a lot of success, I would say, in this time. And I always say that very carefully because we can't predict the future, but we are seeing a lot of demand just based on the current situation, electronic payments. But we are seeing different pockets of the country where there are hot spots or verticals where an MSP may be serving more of a retail or, hospitality or restaurant type of a vertical, and they're getting hit hard. And have you guys had any of those type of conversations, and have there been any ways that you've been specifically working with those partners to kind of see them through this time?
Yeah, we've definitely run into some partners that, they're just not, they're not financially there right now. And we are working with them, whether it be, hey, let's go ahead and suspend a month or two payment, for QuoteWerks or QuoteWerks Web. It's not really costing us anything to do that, but it's going to help them a lot in order to be able to continue on. So we're definitely, doing everything we can. There are sometimes, where right now the business itself is just shut down. So, we'll go ahead and, anything that's recurring, we'll shut it down until you tell us that you're back up and running. That's not a problem.
That's awesome.
That's always been our philosophy. With all of our subscriptions, they're monthly, they're month to month. They're not, you can turn them off at any time. It's like there's nothing to hide. So that's why we're going to be there. We're going to do what's right for our customers.
Well, I think that's a key to long-term success, right? It's like if you help enough people get what they want, ultimately we as business owners get what we want, which is a strong, healthy business, with successful partners and customers. I love hearing that, and it also is what makes those good vendor partnerships really strong. Like working with a company like you, we know if we'd have a mutual partner that reaches out to each of us, even on an integration where there's some of those mixed parts, we have that same type of a philosophy and can both serve that partner's needs. So that's great. Definitely. I think it's important to project that message. Now, before I ask you to go into the QuoteWerks user interface, there's choice. There's lots of choices out there in payments. There's lots of choices for integrated payments. I know that, that, and there's choices in the coding world. As we bring this out and talk to our partner base about our relationship, what are a couple of the reasons that people should be looking at QuoteWerks? If they're using something else, or if they're looking at another product, what are a couple of the top reasons that they should be having a conversation with you before they make any type of a decision?
Yeah, really when I talk about QuoteWerks, when I've got my sales hat on, I talk about the 4 pillars when it comes to QuoteWerks. So, obviously there's our price. We are, as far as for bang for your buck, we're going to be the lowest price out there.
Awesome.
It's going to be our support. You can pick up the phone and give us a call. You don't have to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have to submit a ticket and wait and maybe get somebody to call you back the next day or whenever they get to that ticket. You can pick up the phone and give us a call, even right now. Yeah. Half of our support team right now is working from home. The other half is actually still in the office, but everybody is still available.
That's awesome.
And then it comes to our actual features. When we write a new feature, we do it in a way that makes sense. We spend the time, we're not necessarily the first one to write a feature, but sometimes we're the ones that take the time to talk to the people, figure out what they actually need rather than listen to them saying, hey, I want to do that. I want the ability to do this. I'm like, well, why do you want to be able to do that? What can we do? Exactly. I mean, there are times where, when we go down to write a new feature where it ends up, instead of just being 1 feature, it ends up being 5 new features.
Right.
Because, for what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for everybody else. So we take it apart and figure out what really makes that work. Yeah. And then lastly, it's going to be our integrations. We talk about the fact that we have over 55 integrations. We have much more than that. We have 55 different types of integrations.
Oh, wow.
So, we're more than just quoting. We do everything in the sales process, including purchasing and procurement as well. So we're everything when it comes to that. So same thing when we talk about features. When it comes to integrations, we take the time to, we build it up, we do it right, and then we listen to customers and continue to evolve the integration as well.
That's awesome. You want to share your screen, because I'd love to give people. It's one thing to talk about; it's a whole other thing to show people the efficiency of what you guys do in your product, and we actually get a little bit of insight into payments and how some of the underlying payment functionality of ConnectBooster and QuoteWerks works together.
Perfect. So this is QuoteWerks Web. As you can see, I'm actually in a browser with QuoteWerks.
Nice.
So what I'm going to do is go to New here, and I'm going to select an existing template. So we're opening up the document here. And one of the things that we did when we designed QuoteWerks Web was we wanted to make it so it made sense. So if I was an existing QuoteWerks user and I've been using it for 1 month or 10 years, I'd be able to know what I was doing when I got to it. Right. What I'm going to do first is bring in a contact. We work with a number of different CRM and PSAs. In this case, I've got ConnectWise here. It could be AutoTask. It could be we're adding a new integration to Kaseya BMS as well. So,
nice.
We work with everybody.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and bring this guy in.
Which is a big deal. So, I mean, if people are changing some of their underlying tool sets as they grow and develop inside of their business, you can be one of those constants that they're not going to have to worry about making a change just because they've maybe made a PSA change or an accounting change, right?
Exactly. We are that constant piece. And we've seen that, back in the early days when everybody was swapping back and forth between ConnectWise and AutoTask every other month, which I don't know how they did that. So we are able to do that. So, all right, so I've got a contact in here. I'm just going to go ahead and bring in a product. So what's nice here is I'm able to see real-time price and availability amongst all the different distributors here.
That's awesome.
And that is so important, especially now, because supply chains are totally messed up, especially when it comes to like monitors or headsets or anything like that, because people are having to move and do things at the home office as opposed to back in the main office.
Great
so
point.
We're able to see not only what's available in stock, but also what's on order as well with those distributors.
Oh, nice.
All on this one screen. Yeah, exactly. And you can see by warehouse what's coming in.
That's cool.
So in this case, D&H still does have the lowest price, but I like working with Ingram, so I'm just going to go ahead and select them in this case. And we'll add that. So that added my product to my quote here. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do when we developed this integration or this new interface is we wanted to keep a lot of the same functionality that people liked in the desktop, including dragging and dropping. So that was something that was very key for us here. So let's go ahead and save the document. I'm not going to do the integration, but we are able to create and update opportunities and quotes and whatnot within. So, but that's not what we're focusing on today. So, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to select what we want to do for the layout. We can do proposals, we can do quotes, we can do pretty much anything we want, including spec sheets and literature. But we're going to keep it very basic today. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload this guy, and we'll upload. So this is what the customer would see here, obviously without this top portion here. Yeah. But if we scroll through,
nice.
Yeah, we scroll through here, you'll see that we've got our hardware at the top. So that's our new workstation. Then we got our service and support, including our recurring monthly for our management as well. Perfect. So if we scroll down, you'll see here's our total amount. You'll notice that we're just asking for a deposit, not the full amount up front, and you can change that as well. So let's go, so we can highlight our integration here. I'm just going to pretend that I'm the customer, and we'll just do that. And accept. And as that goes, what that's going to do is it's going to take me to the payment screen. And so now something that we can do right here, which not a lot of other products have, is the fact that right now, if you're working with, say, in a different industry where you're working with like a municipality, they might need to send you a PO, right, and not exactly pay it right away. They can actually upload that PO right here.
Oh, that's cool.
So that way you've got it all with the same document.
Nice.
So,
nice.
But what we want to highlight is actually paying. So let's go ahead and pay now. And you'll notice that I've got a credit card already saved here. And that's because this customer has worked with me before, whether it be, back on the ConnectBooster platform or through QuoteWerks as well. So, so there is a setting to either allow them to store it or not store it. So it just depends on if you want to have that capability. But then you also have the ability to have them pay by a bank account or a credit card as well. And if I just go back to saved, obviously I do that. I'm not going to go ahead and submit payment, but that would be what you would do right there. So that integration is very easy to see. It's very well integrated with ConnectBooster and B&G.
Super clean, super simple. Yeah. I know one of the things that I'd love to call out is the fact that that saved payment method is right here inside of the quote valet and payments, really the point of sale portion of your interface. That's one of the differentiators of your product and our integration together is the ability to have that saved payment and not have to enter all of that redundant payment information every time. And that's another big differentiator and a time saver, which I think is really cool.
Definitely.
Couple of things that I'd love to call out between our integration. So they also have that ability to push that payment method that's being used over into our vault with our mutual integration. So if there is a recurring element to that bill and that quote being accepted, that payment method doesn't have to be captured a second time inside of ConnectBooster. It actually lives underneath that user and company profile inside of ConnectBooster. So we've effectively captured that payment information using QuoteWerks one time, and now it flows between the two products and it's being held compliant, as well as just the general professionalism of your workflow with your end client. I mean, they see you as the MSP and they're the end customer, and they don't necessarily know all of the different tools that are working together. They just see a seamless experience, right, between all facets of the buying experience and paying experience, which I think is another huge, really big reason to be talking and engaging with QuoteWerks as you're evaluating quoting software. That that type of workflow just does not exist out there in the world when you're looking at products. And I think customer experience is a huge area that you can differentiate yourself as an MSP to your client base, making it easy to do business with you. I mean, gosh, how many times
Exactly.
do we put really weird barriers in front of customers just to give us money? I mean, it's hard enough to get in the door and get a meeting and make a deal. Once that's done, guys, it should not be hard to accept the money. Let's not make
Exactly.
that hard. It's hard enough to get to that point. Let's not make the process hard. Oh, that's
Right.
cool. Thank you. Thank you for showing that off and showing off what people can look forward to in working together with us and especially your product here. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I did want to say too, if there is a QuoteWerks customer that isn't already working with QuoteValet or ConnectBooster, to get set up with QuoteValet, it literally takes 3 minutes.
Awesome.
And then from there, the getting set up with the ConnectBooster and putting everything into QuoteValet to get that all set up, that might take another minute. So within 5 minutes, you've got your logo set up, and you're able to capture payment within QuoteWerks and QuoteValet working with ConnectBooster. So if you aren't doing it, you should be doing it.
And I think the good news is, we've now done this time and time and time again. This isn't something where we're trying to figure out our process with each other. This is something that we've been doing for a good time now, not only
Definitely.
on just the credit card side, but even the new ACH side and the functions of passing the payment methods, over into ConnectBooster and the Vault. This is something where we've got a lot of customers doing it. So the process is down well, to your point.
Exactly.
Well, to wrap up here, I really just have a couple of questions. Before we sign off, anything that we should highlight to customers? Any single bit of tidbit information, any life hacks, anything that we should throw out there to the world?
Well, basically, if you are already using QuoteWerks, you should be using QuoteWerks Web. Especially if you work remotely. I'm surprised when I go to events and they don't know anything about it. They think we are just a desktop product. We're not. Yeah, exactly. We are so much more than that. Yeah. As you can see, I was able to, do everything that I could in a browser that I would on the desktop, including using an existing template and delivering it to the client. I mean, that's huge. So just make sure that you guys know that it's there. And then getting started with QuoteValet is so easy. So if you are a QuoteWerks user, you need to be using QuoteValet and using it with some sort of payment process. And ConnectBooster is that perfect solution because we do work well together. It's not like some nameless gateway that we've never worked with before. Right. We know each other, we like each other, we hang out together. Yeah. So it's a different relationship.
He still answers my calls.
Exactly. So
that's awesome. I am excited to get back on the road. Not only see you and just everyone. It's been kind of a weird time, so it'll be fun to get back in the swing of things, and hopefully we can do that soon enough. Well, be safe and mindful at the same time. Brian, if people want to learn more, where should they go to get in contact with you guys?
Yeah, it's just going to QuoteWerks.com, and that's works with an E, as in factory in German. Yes. So QuoteWerks.com is the best place to go. And we're able to answer any questions that you guys have. We've got a fully functional demo. Or if you want, pick up the phone, give us a call, 407-248-1481.
That's awesome. I actually I'll love that. And if people didn't catch that on one of his big differentiators is support and the ability to call, which I think that human element oftentimes gets lost inside of the support and software and support world. So it's really refreshing to hear that from you as well. Yeah. Picking up that phone and talking to a human, man, invaluable. Really
exactly.
Invaluable. Yeah. It's one thing to buy something. It's a whole other to have support and questions answered after the fact. That's where buyer's remorse gets eliminated when they have the help they need,
Exactly.
Cool. Well, thanks again for the time, man. like you said, anything that you guys need, reach out to Brian, his website there. If you have any questions on our mutual integration and anything that ConnectBooster can help, if you're a partner where we can help guide you and implement QuoteWerks and Quote Valet, feel free to reach out and we'll also point you in the right direction. And you can always reach out to us at www.connectbooster.com. So I'll sign off, give you some of your day back. And again, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man and there's a lot going on. And thanks for just spending a little bit of time and chatting with me and all of our mutual partners and future partners.
There you go.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right. Thank you.